much of what has been said indicates that there is a shift in the world order, and we need to be mindful of what that shift is. In fact, I believe we should celebrate the shift. It is long overdue. It is something that perhaps not only should have happened a long time ago, but certainly something which we should have been aware of. But as nations around the world, we've become increasingly lazy about how we view the United States, the impact that the United States has on the world, and particularly in the way the United States impacts all of our lives to some extent. Zelensky is one of the most significant leaders of our time. He's someone which we all should admire, and we should admire because he is a man of integrity, a man of understanding, a man of compassion, a man who's fighting for the well-being of his people. And for all of us who have never experienced another nation trying to transgress our borders or take us over, we probably don't understand the significance of all of that. But there's some element in all of us which is about understanding what it is like to be bullied, to be set upon by someone who thinks they're more powerful, more significant, more authoritative than you are. Now, the way we've dealt with bullies in the past, or those of us that have confronted them, is to often acquiesce to them, to give in, to recognise their degree of power versus our own insignificance. But the interesting thing here was that Volodymyr Zelensky chose not to do that. He chose to confront and to face up to what he was being dealt with by particularly J.D. Vance and later on in that conversation by Donald Trump. This shows a particular form of courage that we often don't see from our leaders. A form of courage, in fact, that has been whitewashed by acquiescence, by giving into, by satisfying the narcissistic and psychopathic qualities of the person that we're speaking to. That even though Macron and Starmer were diplomatic in the way that they dealt with Trump, it took Zelensky the courage to stand up to the misinformation. Now, there have been a number of people who have consequently argued that Zelensky made a few mistakes. And I've even seen some posts from people who are Ukrainian stating that he could have done things differently. Now, we all could have done things differently when we're confronted by a bully. We could always choose to back away. We could choose to be sycophants to them. We could make choices about what language to use in order to placate the situation. But in this particular case, Zelensky told the truth. It straddled that line between, I'm not going to insult you, but I'm going to tell you the facts. And the reality was that Trump and Vance didn't want to know the facts. They're not interested in the information that is required in order to better understand the situation and to resolve the fight in Ukraine. They're only interested in the facts that were presented to them by the Russian president, the dictator, the assassin, the most revolting person on this planet, next to J.D. Vance and Donald Trump. So the game has changed. And I believe it's changed for the better because it is waking us all up into a new environment, a new world, which is going to be one which is far more dependent upon each other and our genuine friends rather than those who are using us for their own self-interest and gain, which is what Trump does. But there's a video that I want to play to you, which is specifically significant around all of this. And it's got nothing to do with Trump. It's got nothing to do with what happened the other day. It is Kamala Harris referring to what will happen when Trump wins, if Trump wins his presidency, during the debate between her and Trump. And it's interesting because it is prophetic. It is something which I think we all need to be mindful of. And it's not about supporting Harris or saying that she was special, or that, there are lots of people out there who'll be watching this video who don't like her anyway for varying reasons. Just put that aside for a moment. This is actually about Kamala Harris knowing who Donald Trump is and knowing who Zelensky is, and knowing, on top of all of that, who Putin is. And with that knowledge and that understanding and the understanding of the geopolitical situation in Europe, she was able to confront Trump during this debate in a way which will stand forever, because it was almost as if she predicted what was going to happen. And now she could only have predicted any of this had she had insight into who all these players were. And she did. And it was, to say the least, a fantastic response, I think. And I'll just play that for you. And we'll talk about it when she's finished.
I believe the reason that Donald Trump says that this war would be over within 24 hours is because he would just give it up. And that's not who we are as Americans. Let's understand what happened here. I actually met with Zelensky a few days before Russia invaded, tried through force to change territorial boundaries, to defy one of the most important international rules and norms, which is the importance of sovereignty and territorial integrity. And I met with President Zelensky. I shared with him American intelligence about how he could defend himself. Days later, I went to NATO's eastern flank, to Poland and Romania. And through the work that I and others did, we brought 50 countries together to support Ukraine in its righteous defense. And because of our support, because of the air defense, the ammunition, the artillery, the javelins, the Abrams tanks that we have provided, Ukraine stands as an independent and free country. If Donald Trump were president, Putin would be sitting in Kyiv right now. And understand what that would mean, because Putin's agenda is not just about Ukraine. Understand why the European allies and our NATO allies are so thankful that you are no longer president, and that we understand the importance of the greatest military alliance the world has ever known, which is NATO, and what we have done to preserve the ability of Zelensky and the Ukrainians to fight for their independence. Otherwise, Putin would be sitting in Kyiv with his eyes on the rest of Europe, starting with Poland. And why don't you tell the 800,000 Polish Americans right here in Pennsylvania how quickly you would give up for the sake of favor and what you think is a friendship with what is known to be a dictator who would eat you for lunch.
I think that is a significant speech because, as I said, she predicted everything that would happen. And it must have been extremely painful for Donald Trump to sit there and receive that beration that he did. That it's almost like all of that stuff that he was experiencing by being attacked by her came out. It was the meeting with Zelensky was an opportunity for him to have a go at Zelensky, because they have this history together where Zelensky did not do what Trump wanted him to do in relation to Hunter Biden and the laptop and corruption that was in Ukraine. And the reality was there was a lot of corruption in Ukraine when they had a Russian puppet running the country. And Zelensky was able to turn that all around. And often people don't talk about the significance of all of that and his election. And I guess had he not been elected, one wonders whether Putin would have thought of invading Russia, I'll get in a second, would have thought about invading Ukraine anyway, because he had his own person in place. But Zelensky doesn't bow to Putin. Zelensky doesn't acquiesce to Trump or Vance. Zelensky's focus is purely Ukraine. And I think that is an issue which all of us need to celebrate and we need to understand. So let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. What you think about what Zelensky has done, whether you support him or not. I've gone through all my X and Blue Sky feeds, and anything that says, do you support Ukraine, I've reposted. Look, can you share my videos? Can you let people know that there are other people, such as myself, on the internet, on YouTube, who are talking about this issue, who also support what Zelensky is doing? And also, I think it's important to understand that we are supporting a free world, a world which is not dominated by bullies like Trump and Putin and Vance, a world whereby people can have the freedom to say whatever they may need to say, providing it's not extremely offensive or provoking some sort of violence against another. This is the world we're now living in. It is the death of the United States. It is the death of the United States' control of the rest of the world, something that we gave them, that they should never have had in the first place. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. In the meantime, take care, look after yourselves, and more importantly, be safe.